Good morning, everybody. This is Al Stasch, and you are watching Uptown Villa Park. And we have a very special guest here today that's going to be joining us in a moment. His name is Nick Cuzzone. He's the new Villa Park trustee for Villa Park, Illinois. And if you're watching on cable TV, this is Channel 6 on Comcast, Channel 99 on AT&T Uverse, and of course live stream over the internets. And before we go too far, I just want to show you who's here with us. Let me see if I can get this right. There they are. On your left is our own host, co-host, Sid Bergh. How are you, Sid?
If I was any better, I'd be you, Al. It's a beautiful day here, and this is being done on Tuesday morning. And it's just a little overcast, but just beautiful. Summer is here.
Okay, and your left is Nick Cuzzone. How are you, Nick?
I'm doing good.
Thanks for joining us. You're a brave man to come to meet and sit between these two guys. And on his left also is our own Dennis Keating.
Good morning, folks. If you were outside this morning, you know we had a pink sun.
A pink sun?
A pink sun.
I wasn't up that early.
It was out. It was out. Noticed it was on radio coming over, I heard. Because of a fire in Canada, the smoke is covering the sun.
Wow.
So we had a pink sun this morning. So
wow. So we charge them for that? Or
no, it's one of the free things we get for nothing.
Dennis, was that chemical fire, the chemical
plant?
I don't know what it was,
but I heard on the radio.
Oh.
Great. Nick, why don't you scoot over a little towards Dennis there and we'll get you better on the shot. A little bit more.
No, don't get pushy.
All right, that's good. Now, guys, we're going to record this because we came too close to the time that we had to go on the air, so it's going to be recorded. The other program's going on live. It'll be on later this afternoon and then following days, okay? But assume that we're live, all right? Okay, great. First of all, let me introduce our guest, a little bit of background. Nick Cuzzone, as I mentioned, is the new Villa Park trustee, and in Villa Park, there are no precincts. In other words, he is not assigned to a specific geographic area here in the village, although he may have lived in a certain area and have more interest in that area. That's not the case in village government here. They are trustees for the entire village. Lombard, for example, has precincts, and they are dedicated to a certain geographic area, as they are in the city of Chicago. Nick is a graduate of Fenwick High School in Oak Park, Illinois. Mm-hmm. And also a graduate of Illinois University?
At Circle,
UIC. UIC Circle with a chemical engineering background, right? Mm-hmm. And a degree in chemical engineering. And because of that, you got a job or work with EPS Environmental in City of Chicago. Mm-hmm. And City of Chicago, a company that does identification of underground leaks and remediation, et cetera. I have that right so far?
Correct. Yeah, we do. A lot of our work is property assessments, environmental issues on the property. Mm-hmm. We do initial investigations. We'll do soil, groundwater sampling. If there are underground storage tanks, we can remove them, do cleanups, go through the programs, the Illinois EPA program.
Okay. Okay. Now you're one of the principals with the company, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and you're a lead engineer, right?
Correct.
Okay. How do government agencies get you involved, or do you go out on the behalf of a property owner?
Most of our work is private. A lot of our work comes through property transactions, and it's mostly commercial. We don't do much residential. Okay,
so somebody sells a property and they need to check it, or they think there is a leak. Okay.
That's correct. Yeah, and typically what happens is a bank will drive it. When a property is sold, and if they're going to mortgage the property, the bank will want to see the environmental issues on there. They don't want to be lending money on a property that they may eventually take back and find out that they have an environmental issue.
Well, they probably have some flags that show up, the banks do, in terms of properties when they look around at the surrounding properties in that sale. Is that correct?
That's correct, and that's what we do. The bank really won't do that. It's up to the consultant to look at the property, look at the adjacent properties, try to go out. We typically will investigate through databases about a mile from the property, but generally if it's within a quarter of a mile, we'll investigate them pretty closely.
That far, quarter of a mile?
Correct.
Okay. What would take, I mean, one of the common occurrences is a gas station with underground gasoline tanks that used to be a different design than they are today. It used to be metal, now they're fiberglass and more I'm talking for you, but they're more safe than they were in the past. But old gas stations, and they tend to leak, but they can actually leak a quarter of a mile through the underground water?
Yeah, it depends on the soil conditions. If you have real sandy soils, it could go a quarter mile. I mean, I've seen sites where they're half a mile away, where contamination's gone that far.
Wow.
If it goes into a sewer system, it could travel that far real easily.
Right, right. Now, generally, when a gas station is removed from a property, and that happens several times, even on busy corners sometimes you see a gas station that's out of business, and then they come back online. Do you go out and check that? For example, there's one at Westmore and Roosevelt that was offline, a mobile station, for a couple of years, and then came back online.
We don't get involved with the retrofitting of gasoline tanks. We'll get involved in the removals. The installations are done by different companies, but once that's done, we may be involved with continuing monitoring of the site. There's typically going to be groundwater monitoring wells to make sure that the groundwater is clean, or if it's not, that it's not going far and migrating off site or going, say, into sewers or into neighboring properties, and we can get involved with that ongoing monitoring.
Now, I'm familiar with a former Nike site that was here in Addison, not too far from us. And in fact, Public Works for Addison is now on the property that was once the site for the launch missiles during the Cold War era. And down the street from that facility, I'm not sure the name of the street, but along the Canadian national tracks, there's another facility that had monitoring pipes in the ground since 1978. They were removed about 2-3 years ago, and what they were trying to do is test for the fuel that was used in the rockets. Actually, the Nike missiles that we see at the Nike Park was those rockets. And that went on for decades of testing and monitoring. Is that common for a gasoline station?
It depends. It's not so much gasoline. On long term like that, a lot of times it's other chemicals. It'll be maybe solvents, chlorinated solvents, which tend to get into the groundwater, and they're heavier than water, so they tend to go deep and far. Right. Gasoline's lighter than water, so it tends to stay on the surface. It's easier to treat if it does go off site, and it's easier to monitor. Right. I haven't had too much experience with working at Nike sites, but I've reviewed a lot of reports from Nike sites, and that's typically what you're finding is non-petroleum products.
Right. Really volatile fuels that they have.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. And they can go far, and they're a lot more toxic than petroleum products.
I know there was one in Naperville on Deal Road that was remediated over the years. They actually removed ground from it and became a kids' park afterwards. Yeah. So it can change,
It
right?
can, sure. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you mentioned the Nike sites, because a lot of people don't realize, especially younger people coming up, they have no idea what a Nike missile was. But there were, I think, hundreds of Nike sites around the Chicago area, because obviously it would have been a major target in the Cold War. But there's still a lot of abandoned Nike sites in the Chicagoland area.
Which brings up another thing, and I want to get into village matters, but it brings up another thing, and that is that the Addison facility was a nuclear missile site.
Oh, okay.
And in fact, the place where the nuclear fuel was stored when it was not in the missiles is where the Public Works facility is today. And if you go online and look at where are the reported sites of nuclear material, there are thousands of them. I mean, medical facilities, universities that do studies and things. Is that something that you get involved with too, or not?
No, we stay away from things like that.
I would too.
Yeah, we don't get involved with radioactive. There was a couple of sites, pretty good one down in Chicago. It was the Lindsay Light Company, where they used to make the illuminated watch dials.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a lot of thorium that was in the ground there, and it was a major cleanup that they had to do there. Yeah. West Chicago, there was they were taking some of the low-level soil from Fermilab, and they were spreading it out. They thought it was clean fill, and they had a big cleanup on that. Right. That kind of stuff. Yeah, we don't get involved in that. Okay. And that's a lot of federal. Then you get involved with federal, the U.S. EPA on that.
Right, right. Okay, let's switch gears here for a second and talk about your experience becoming a trustee here in Villa Park. This is your first time in local government, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Talk to us about, and you're sitting between two former trustees of the 1970s? Is that right?
89 to 93 for
Okay.
me.
You got mad.
1935 was my first one, yes.
Okay, all right. So,
Dennis is far more senior.
yeah, on the trustee balance, right, on that scale. But one of the things that I'm interested in finding out, not because I'm ever going to run, because I am not, but for other people who may be interested, the process today of becoming a trustee, building the consensus, or what happens? How do you do that? How did you do that?
How did I do it? Well, I got involved. I ran for the 2-year unexpired term.
Of John Davis, former trustee that left and moved out of town. Right.
That's correct. And I figured, well, it was a 2-year trustee. I could try for 2 years and see if I liked it, and then if I did, then go for the next 4-year term. I didn't think that there would be anybody running. It'd be real nice, easy. I'll just put my name in the hat and get elected.
And you'll be blessed by the people of Villa Park to
That's
become
correct.
the trustee. Okay.
That's correct. Well, as I got involved, there were 2 other people that were running. It's a fairly easy process to get involved. You get the packet from the city. You need, I believe it was 183 signatures.
That's it? 183?
Yeah, to
You could do that-
actually get on the ballot.
You could do that at Jewel in one afternoon.
Oh
right?
yeah,
No.
yeah.
No.
You can't. See?
Because you can't because of the fact you got to have 183 good signatures.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Because we've been challenged before. Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
They have to be Villa Park residents, and they have to be
Registered?
valid voters.
Okay,
So they have to
registered
be
voters.
registered voters.
Okay.
So it was mostly going door to door. Took about 2 weeks, after work on Saturdays, going around. And for the most part, people, because you're not really voting, so people aren't that they're not checking on you, or they just say, why do you want to do this? Is the question I got from most people.
And what was your answer? Other than saying you want to try it for a while. What was your answer?
My answer was that I've always been involved with the village. We moved here in 1985. I didn't say always, but once my kids were born and they started going to school, we started getting involved with the city and with the schools. And once my kids graduated Willowbrook, I had free time and figured I would give back to the village. It's a good town, and figured I'd like to do good things for it.
Now, a little bit about your personal background. As we said, you grew up in Elmhurst, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and that's okay. We accept people from Elmhurst. Actually, Elmhurst has been tied to Villa Park for eons, so that's great.
He graduated from York.
Oh,
Yeah, I am a York Duke.
You're a Duke,
That's right. Went to Spudnuts most of my senior year.
Sure. I remember that place.
Spudnuts, a donut shop on Spring Road,
Spring Road,
down by the tracks over there. And then you went to University of Illinois in Chicago, Circle Campus, got a degree in chemical engineering, and then continued your life as we know of it so far. Also, you have a wife and children. Your wife's name is?
Lisa.
Lisa? Lisa, and you are having an anniversary this month.
That's correct.
Wow.
Thanks for reminding me.
Okay, that's okay.
Actually, it's a week from tomorrow, June
Okay,
17th.
right.
It'll be our 31st.
31st, 31 years.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations to
5
both
years
of
of wedded bliss,
and the rest doing
Yeah,
whatever,
that's right, yeah.
raising
Yeah,
children,
yeah.
right?
He
No,
comes days here and there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, 31 years.
And your children, how many children do you
I
have?
have 2 children. I have a son. He's 24. He graduated last year from Carroll University up in Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Oh, nice. Congratulations for that, too.
Yeah, thank you.
You still paying that bill?
No,
You got it done.
We're done.
All right.
And I've got a 19-year-old, soon-to-be 20-year-old daughter who is going to Valparaiso in Indiana.
In Indiana. Great, great.
And
So,
she is on track to graduate in 3 years, which would be really nice.
excellent.
Yeah.
Instead of the 5-year program, right?
Right, yeah, which my son did. So.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So it balances out, so we got
Yeah.
4 years each.
They all did.
I know the colleges sometimes put you on that program unless you're smart enough to say no.
Yeah.
Where you say, no, I want that class because I need to graduate in 4 years because now you're talking an extra $25,000.
Right. Yeah, my son, who's also named Nick, he only had like 1 or 2 classes left, but he also had to do an internship to graduate. So he ended up his first semester of his 5th year, he took his classes, and then his second semester he got an internship at Harvard.
Oh, nice.
University, which was really nice. It was
It's nice for his resume.
It was definitely. He's into strength and conditioning and nutrition and that. And he was working with the strength and conditioning coaches in Harvard.
Oh, cool.
And we went out there and visited him for a weekend, and it was really impressive. It was really impressive being on campus and seeing the facilities they have. Harvard's got the most athletic teams of any college in the U.S.
Really?
Yeah,
a lot of club teams too, right?
A lot of club teams, but a lot of actual, intercollegiate teams, which was really impressive, which I never knew.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
But
And Harvard's in New York, right?
Boston.
Boston.
It's right outside.
Okay.
It's in Cambridge. It's right outside of Boston.
Oh, Cambridge. Okay. Then your children grew up and went through Willowbrook High School, correct?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
they both went to Ardmore grade school, Jackson middle school, and then Willowbrook.
Okay, that's my sons and daughter. Did
Oh,
the
yeah.
same thing. But as my sons and daughter, they were involved with sports, and your children were too.
Correct.
You became part of the Boosters, right?
That's correct. When my son was a basketball and baseball player, and joined the Boosters his freshman year, and then got involved his sophomore year. And by the time he was a senior, I was president of the Booster Club.
Okay, cool.
And then my daughter came along, and it's one of those, nobody else wanted it, so I just kept it.
Yeah. Well, no, the Boosters at Willowbrook High School are a great organization. During the time that you were Booster president, is that when they did the field house, or was that after?
That's correct. My son was a junior, I believe, when the referendum came up, and I was involved on that too, on the Step It Up committee. And
So you do have experience in politics.
that's true. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
Kind of like
yeah,
that,
kind of. Backdoor, yeah.
Yeah. But I got involved with that, and we ended up passing the referendum, which they had tried a couple, I think twice to get a field house built. And this time around, they incorporated the field house with upgrades to the school itself. Which
The music department, science.
correct. All of the classrooms, because the school was 50 years old at that time and hadn't really had any kind of a facelift or any kind of upgrades. So it was very interesting getting involved. Met a lot of interesting people, a lot of real nice people, and we ended up passing it, which a lot of people didn't think it would for I think it was a $123 million referendum.
That's big.
For District 88, Willowbrook and Addison Trail.
Right.
And a lot of hard work. And we had a lot of people on the committee and a lot of people going door to door, getting the word out, which is similar to the road referendum. And I think when people see the benefits that they get out of it, even though your taxes will go up, if you can show them the benefit, most people realize that it was something that really was needed.
Right. Well, that brings us a little bit, because you mentioned it, to local government and the Village of Villa Park. We, as you said, just passed a road referendum for $20 million, $23 million. And that we're going to start to see come to fruition with new projects. Right now, they're still doing resurfacing of streets, but engineering of several streets in the village and other projects will come up. Your background as a chemical engineer and the process of projects like that, tell us how you'll interact with that type of project. Oversight for sure. But
Yeah, really the board is kind of more an oversight on things. We leave it to the Public Works Department to handle that. But in my line of work in the environmental field, I tend to deal with contractors, and we do not construction, but we'll do excavation, and so I've got an idea of what's involved in tearing streets up and putting sewers in and things like that.
Right.
So we'll definitely be able to help out on that. And again, just oversight to see if things are being done correctly and following along, which the plan seems really good. We've got good people in place overseeing it, and I don't think there's going to be much of a problem. And I think the village will be extremely happy once the project's done.
Well, and as you know, once you get underground, there's surprises.
Correct.
Always surprises. And we had a project here not long ago on Michigan Avenue, going from Division Street to St. Charles Road, where they had a major reconstruction. They had to dig up the street, and they did sewer and water connections and gas connections from the houses, middle part of their front yard into the center of the street. Big project. The first saw that went into the street to cut the curbs cut a natural gas line with a 9-inch blade. That's how high it was in the ground. And this village is old. It's been several iterations.
How many years old?
100?
100 years
I heard about that. Yeah, something like that. But there's been a lot
Was
of...
Sid there at the beginning or no?
Sid, were you there at the beginning?
No. 2 years after.
2 years after, no.
No, a few years.
Sid came to us in the 20s, not in the teens, right?
I was born in 1926, so that was the
Yes.
village was already 9 years old.
You're a young whippersnapper.
Young kid.
So, and we moved from Lombard into Villa Park in around 1931.
Yeah.
And I can understand how a gas line would be buried possibly 48 or 60 inches down. And over the years, over that 50-some years, water and other activities, I presume this would be mostly in your field where it would actually rise.
I think it was put in at that level
Yeah,
to begin with.
yeah. It'll rise. There'll be some changes, but not that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, that shallow is definitely something wrong there.
Yeah.
So somebody did something
Yeah.
wrong.
I mean, you got the ground that's, curb height above it. So in the grass, it may be 12 inches or more. But they put a blade that thick through concrete, so that much was concrete, and blacktop, and then the pipe was right there. It's like, unbelievable.
Just for the purposes of debate, folks, and we'll get back into the main subject in just a second, but when I lived in the Westlands, and some years back we got water and sewer. Before that we were on well and septic. And my Buffalo box, or where you turn you can turn the water off from the street, I think that valve has risen close to 6 inches in that period of time, that 10, 12 years that it's
The freezing, the thaw, the freezing, the thaw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's enough of the debate on that type of thing. Let's get back to the
Public
village.
Works will take care of that.
Yeah. And the other big issue with the village going forward, and we've had several presentations, actually one last night, is about flood remediation. Tell us about what you can do to help us with that. I know you're not Public Works.
Yeah, yeah. We review the plans that are coming out. I think our biggest thing is to make sure that we're talking with the residents, that the plans that are being done, because some of it's going to be done on private property, that the residents are aware of what's going on, and they're aware of how it's going to benefit them. There was a resident that was there last night at the meeting who lives on Washington, had, I think he said, 40 years of flooding there.
That's terrible.
And
terrible. Yeah.
So hopefully the plans will help them out, but we have to bring that out to the residents to show them what's being done, how it's going to help them, benefit them, take care of the water problems that they have. It's an ongoing process. It's not going to be done overnight, and some areas will have to wait the same as the roads.
Right.
And most of it comes down to money. Is the money there to do it?
But you had some good questions last night about, they want one street they want to put bricks in, paving bricks.
Yeah.
The permeated bricks, right?
Yeah.
So the water can filter through.
Filter through instead of sitting on
running
top.
up,
And
yeah.
going, you went and asked questions about it. The bricks are going to be for how long?
They said that they have a 50-year life.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah, which is probably longer than a road, than asphalt or
Yeah.
concrete.
Yeah. Asphalt is supposed to be like 14 years,
Yeah.
25 years at the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had cement in most of the streets, and but the waters have been over there years.
Oh, yeah.
Sid and myself, we probably remember when everything east of Village Avenue was underwater.
Yeah.
Everything.
That was probably 1988.
88,
Yeah.
87,
With Salt Creek, right.
Yeah.
and everything was underwater. Now, where's all that water going now that it used to be there in 87, 88?
I think it's wrong. I think when they had the wet weather
Treatment.
plant, a lot of water will go through there, so that the sanitary district on the east side of 83 doesn't get all that water. So it's a lot.
And Dennis sits on that board at Sanitary District too,
Yeah.
by the way. Okay.
So I think a lot of that goes through there, and then with drainage, it's diverted to other areas.
So like the quarry in Elmhurst.
Yeah, correct.
Big.
Presentation you got last night from Vetus was very good because of the fact that they told you, even on Washington and Addison, they'll put higher curbs up to hold water.
Right.
And people just don't understand why they do things like this.
Yeah.
And I think you sitting on that board, you got to explain. You did last night. You got to explain something to the people.
Yeah.
If they're interested, they'll pay attention. If they're not, they're not.
Correct. That's correct. Right.
If it affects them, yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
like I said, that's the biggest thing. I found it in doing a referendum and doing a road referendum.
Yeah.
I think you need to get that out to the people. Let them know exactly what you're doing, why you're doing it, and once they realize that, you know, they can get a better handle on it. Then, you know, you don't have as much irate residents coming, you know, this is going on, why are they doing it? I'm not getting any information. And I think the last couple of years, you know, this village has been really good about that, getting it out.
We were trying to pass that bond issue, so we had to come out and educate the people.
Yeah.
And I think that's your job for the next 2 years, is educate me.
Sure.
Yeah. One of the other things that came up with that discussion is that the remediation, according to DuPage County's presentation, was to put some areas that is actually now on private property, or maybe on private property, into the mix of fixing the problem, which means getting some of those people in the neighborhood to agree to either sell or relinquish some property. A certain portion of it will be easement that's already available for that type of thing.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. You have to convince people and explain to them why this is needed.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, and especially when you're working on their property, like you say, even if it's not an easement, then you know, then they'll have to either you know, agree to extending that easement out, or work out some kind of an arrangement.
Right.
But you know, they have to be told this is what's going to help you, and you'll think that they're encroaching on your property, but the end result will be worth it.
Yeah, yeah. I have to, and I'm not belittling anybody's commentary last night, but one of the comments that the resident made was he heard an anecdote that at some time there was a creek that went through there. Okay? And let me just tell everybody, at one time we were covered in water. Long, long time ago, and there's actually shark teeth in the quarry. So, yeah, there was water here before, and that constantly moving target is where water goes and flows.
Right. And as everything gets developed, the water's going to find its own level, and it's going to go where it wants to go.
Right.
And you have to force it to where you want it to go.
Well, the combined sewers came up on certain parts of the district, and Dennis, you're part of the board for the Sanitary District. What's the problem on the Sanitary District side with combined sewers?
There is none. We don't get the water.
You don't get the water?
We don't get the water. So
Okay. Yeah.
your sewers need to be improved 100%. Your combination sewers. We started in the 70s separating the sewers, and they went so far that they stopped. The center part of town has never been separated.
Yeah.
So they got to be storm sewers in the center part of town. That's what they have to work on now.
Right, right, right,
And the biggest thing is money.
Yeah.
Where does the money come from?
right, right.
And
The
for
county's going to, if they're going to give you $100,000 to do this part, project,
correct.
take it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's our money, folks. It went to the county, went to the federal.
Yeah.
It's coming back now.
Yeah.
But for people that don't know, combined sewers are where your storm sewer and your sanitary sewer go together.
Right.
So all your wastewater and the storm water go in the same spot, and when it rains, the treatment facilities just get overrun. They can't handle all that
They can't
water.
get
And then what happens? It comes
It all
back the other way,
Right.
which means into people's basements.
Right.
Which means you now have sewage in your basement.
Right.
What was supposed to go down the toilet
Yeah.
is in your basement.
Coming back, correct,
Yeah, and that's just, I don't have that problem, and it's just unimaginable.
Yeah.
The sanitary
What that's like.
district now is treating fish. We're getting fish through the sewers.
Yeah,
We're getting bricks through the sewers are falling apart.
because there's a brick
Yeah.
line going down on the
Yeah,
manholes,
They got to
right?
be fixed. They got, and
And,
they've been.
and they were saying that the main on Park is brick also, right? The
brick.
main,
Yeah, we're getting brick every week, every
Yeah.
day.
That's crazy. And my street, Kenilworth, was just done, and I don't know if the sewer lines are brick or not, but I did see when they uncovered the manholes that they were bricks going down, just like my
Oh, yeah.
tank in the backyard, the
I
grease
don't know.
trap.
I don't know how old they are. Probably 80 years old. Some of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, there's a couple of other things. Go ahead, Sid.
No, as in your sewer bit, there was a sewer running from Addison Avenue all the way to the DuPage River through Lombard. There was brick, and it was about, I think it was a main sewer, and it was probably 5 or 6 feet tall. And as a kid, of course, being a bunch of us,
You ran through there?
my mob, we would go and see how far in we could go, and think of all the lore that was said about, like, you go so far
I need
in, there's a
I need to
curtain of
cut you off,
snakes,
Sid. The
which wasn't
statute of
so.
limitations is not over for that.
Yeah.
You could still be
Yeah.
arrested for
That's
that.
confined space entry permit you needed for the end.
You don't care.
At my age, what's the difference?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I know we have still some more time, and I know you have a job and work to get to, but I wanted to talk about a couple of things that I know you have personal interest in, and that is the Dan Gibbons Turkey Trot that's
correct.
going to be coming up soon. You're playing in that. Tell us about it.
The Dan Gibbons Turkey Trot is a 5K run that's held every Thanksgiving in Elmhurst, and it started in 1984. Dan's a longtime friend of mine, and we've been involved with it just about since it started. As it grew and the number of participants increased, it became a major benefactor. It's always been to provide money and to food banks and soup kitchens, and so it's always been a thing of Dan's is for people that go hungry at night. So as this organization grew, about 2 years ago, it was incorporated into a foundation. And one of the goals is to do fundraising all year round, not just on Thanksgiving and around the holidays when everybody thinks of hunger and hungry people,
Right.
but it's a 12-month-a-year problem.
Right.
So one of the things we're doing this year on June 19th is we're calling it the Fighting Hunger Games, and it's gonna be
Fighting Hunger Games.
Fighting Hunger Games.
Okay.
And it's going to be the longest day of golf, which is it's the Friday. It's one of the longest days of the year, and we have 36 golfers that are going to be golfing 100 holes in one day.
Wow. And at what course? In Wooddale, right?
Maple Meadows in Wooddale.
Okay.
Did I see somebody practicing already for doing 100 hours golfing?
I don't know. Could be. Yeah. It's a long day. We did
Yeah.
we did this about 20 years ago.
I think
Oh, okay.
one of the county board members and one of the Forest Reserve members.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
It could be. It
Yeah.
could be. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just put their names across the bottom when you
Yeah,
tell us later.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Yeah, we'll see. But each golfer is coming up with $2,500 in pledges, and so that'll raise about $90,000. And we're hoping by the time we pay bills, pay for the golf course and things like that, we'll end up with about $75,000 for.
That's huge. That's significant. Now you talked about the different types of organizations. Are there any like Elmhurst has a food bank that's pretty significant. I know a gentleman that was at the meeting last night, Pete DiCiani, when he was mayor of Elmhurst, did some fundraisers with our own village president Tom Cullerton for the food bank at the Catholic school. I can't remember the name of it, but and then we have some of them here in Villa Park, the Disciples Food
Yep.
Bank over on Villa Avenue, your
Avenue.
neighborhood, and then of course the York Township Food Bank, John Valley over in York Township that runs that. And you're right, it's a year-round
Oh yeah.
process. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't stop eating
Correct.
just because it's not Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Right. Yeah. And originally, when this started, a lot of it was going to the Chicago Anti-Hunger Federation in Chicago. And as it grew, as the race grew, and we were coming up with more money, and the Chicago Anti-Hunger Federation started having trouble money-wise. They just weren't getting enough funds, and they ended up shutting down a few years ago. But as it went along, and we saw that the majority of the runners we were getting were from DuPage County, so we gradually shifted some of the benefactors that we have till now, and it's 100% DuPage County. The money
Good.
stays in DuPage County. Some of our biggest benefactors are Loaves and Fishes. We do give some money to York Township, Addison Township, United Community Concerns in Elmhurst. So I think there's about 6 or 7 different groups that we give money to now.
Okay. All right, guys, I've kind of taken over in talking with Nick, and I know you two guys have things you want to talk with Nick about or ask him or give him advice from your experience as trustees. We'll start with you, Sid. What can you tell Nick that's going to help him, or what do you want to ask him?
No, I just want to ask him right now to start off with. What has happened in this short time that you did not expect, if anything?
The meeting last night, how
Yeah, right. Yeah, nothing really has surprised me. My neighbor, 2 of my neighbors are on the board, Don Case and Chris Aiello, so I've talked to them over the years, and actually that's one of the reasons that I ran too was, Don has been after me for a long time to run. So I got an idea of what goes on at the meetings from talking to him, and then watching the meetings on TV and going, the last 6 months going to the meetings. So kind of had an idea of what was going on. had a few people have emailed and called about with complaints or things they need done, but again, I expected that. So I think it's pretty much all that I expected. But it's, again, because they've been involved for such a long time that it didn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Do you have a particular pet project that you want to pass, that you want to come to fruition, I should say?
I would definitely like to see the train station development move forward.
Green Gardens.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think it was like 2007, 2008, there was a master plan that was drawn up, and then once the recession hit, that kind of...
It blew the
back
whole
up.
thing.
Correct.
And hopefully we can bring that back up.
Right. And hopefully. And I think there are some talks for some developers that are looking at doing that, something that's going to be beneficial for the village. But I think that's one thing, we have a lot of people come take the train every day, go through this town, and they'll go all along the line, Wheaton, Glen Ellen, Lombard, Elmhurst, all these towns have beautiful downtown areas. I think it's the one thing that is difficult with Villa Park. There's no set downtown area. We have the Villa Avenue.
That's okay.
Sorry, Nick,
Go ahead.
sorry,
Go ahead.
folks.
Okay, keep going, Nick. Keep going.
We have the Villa Avenue district. We have the Ardmore district. We have North Avenue. But there's really no place where you say we're downtown. People get off the train. They can go to some place, have something to eat, have a cup of coffee. So I would really like to see that plan get moved forward. And it's a long-range plan. It's something that's going to be done in a couple of years. But at least get that started and get it back on track.
Good. Good. Dennis.
I think that Pat, you're talking about the North train station development. It was 07, 08, it was going real good, and then the economy dropped completely. The money is gone. And I think right now they're trying to find money again. The developer is trying to save it.
Yeah.
Because he's got quite a bit invested in it himself. And I think anything over there would be great. But the rest of the development along the train station, up and down the whole track, it needs to be worked on.
Right.
And
again, it's a long-range plan.
Yeah,
That's something like that doesn't happen in a couple of years. It's 10, 15, 20 years it'll probably be by the time it's really done. But we need to have vision. We need to have that long-range plan.
long-range plan, I've been around for years. I keep pushing and trying to push seniors development. We don't need a seniors development. I'm in the stage now, I'm looking for senior housing to move into. Do you know there's a 5 to 7 year wait list on some of these places to move into? So there is a big need for them.
Yeah.
And we could use a couple in town right here. You were talking about the high school booster club. How do you join it, and what is it about?
The Athletic Boosters it's an organization that's there to assist the teams and the students. We tend to, at least when I was involved, if there were things that the team needed that they couldn't get through the school, it wasn't budgeted. If they needed warm-up jackets or a couple of things we did, we got signs for the fence showing, saying Willowbrook for the softball team, the girls softball team there. We would raise the money and give that to the school.
If I had kids in school, how do I join it?
If you're just contact the booster club and join, and there was family memberships I think were $50, and they had a $20 membership for those who couldn't afford the $50, and you're on the board, or you're on the club, and
probably eventually on the board, right?
Yeah, eventually, correct. That's right, right.
Especially if you don't make a meeting.
Yeah. But one of the biggest things we did at the end of the year, though, was we had scholarships that we gave out.
Good.
Depending on how good a year, we had $6,000 or $7,000 scholarships that we gave to athletes, and it was really the best athletes. It wasn't because we were an athletic club, we weren't looking at academics that much. It could help if you had two people that you didn't know. You were at the end and you had the sixth person. Athletics or academics may sway it, but it was strictly we looked at the best athletes. Who had the best high school records and who did the best in school, and we gave out $6,000 or $7,000 in scholarships.
I understand this year the graduation class was the best graduation class ever.
That's what I heard. Ever.
Yeah, who said that? Oh, Chris Aiello said that.
Yeah. The valedictorian, I think, said it was the best. So.
Yeah.
That had to be true.
He's never lied to me, so I guess it's
we had a very good class over there. This is the best ever. We've been promoting 88 for years. Dan, one of the principals over there is one of the best you have.
Yes.
Superintendent's real good to work with. And we've been promoting them for years. And the kids over there are wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, we hear the bad kids, we hear the troublemakers, we hear about it. We don't hear the good kids.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we push them more and more. Thank you for your time at the Boosters Field, by the way.
Yeah.
It was enjoyable. I enjoyed it.
No, they're a great group, and John Daly, who's the athletic director there, does a Bob Daly, excuse me, does a fantastic job with all sports, and they were very successful this year across the board. I mean, we had 2 guys that went down as finalists in the wrestling state finals. The baseball team just went through almost the regional. They got to the final game of the regional. The girls softball did well. Gymnastics was fantastic. Badminton had a couple go down, as they always do. They're sectional champs every year.
Well, wrestling, we always had kids down there.
Yeah.
You know, with Coach Murphy, the old man.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he just retired.
He just retired.
Yeah.
We always had kids on state, and they had one of the best teams around.
Right.
That's the thing people don't realize. You know, everybody looks at basketball and football. Those are the main sport. But badminton, they've got a ton of championships. Wrestling, they've had a ton of winners downstate. Right. They've always had good programs in that.
Yeah. I went to a badminton meet at Willowbrook High School in the main gym. It overflowed into another facility at the school. But I was there, and I started recording and taking photos, and I thought, okay, when it ends, I'll talk to the coach. I was there for 2 hours. They kept calling more people from the upper balconies of the gym to come down and have their match. There's a lot of kids that are involved in that. And I failed to mention girls track. Girls track did a great job. The throwers, the shot putters and discus, etc. There's so many kids involved with sports that's an organization that really needs a lot of attention. But you said the right thing about, in my opinion, about sports and academics. Colleges, when you go in, they're going to look at both, and extracurricular things. But to have a booster club that supplements those kids with activities like that is a huge help. And you were just through it.
Yes. Yeah. And it's a nice way to meet people. We would always talk at the beginning of the year when the parents are out there for the first, when they all get together to go through the school. And we would always say, it's a great way to meet people. You meet other parents, and you can get involved that way. And and athletics is not the only one too. There's a music booster there. There's a parents organization. But that's the way you can keep track of your kids, and then you can meet other people, and it's a great way to be involved with the school.
They have the shows and concerts over there. They're wonderful.
Yeah.
And our kids are doing it. Our generations coming down are doing it. And we have no problem with our kids coming up in the future.
No. And I don't know what this year they usually give out. They have at the graduation how much scholarship money that they've got.
Oh yeah.
And I know the last year that I was around, my daughter graduated. I think it was almost $7 million that the senior class got in scholarships that year. So it's hard work by the kids, and they do a great job. Yeah, the graduation rate is very high. The college entrance after high school is very high. At both schools, you talked about District 88, and we're part of Addison Trail and Willowbrook, and that's really important. And we do pay for it. In our taxes, we see that as one of the big things. And that's another thing I want to talk about. The funding that the village has, we've mentioned it's about money in a lot of cases, the decisions that are made, may change in the future because of things going on in Springfield. And I don't know if that means we have to go on some kind of austerity program here in the village, which everyone will. I mean, we're not that town that they're picking on. They're picking on everybody, potentially. And I'm using those words, and I shouldn't. They do have to do something with the finances in the state of Illinois. But it may affect us. And you can't make any predictions right now as to what will happen or what you think about that. But are we doing the right things in the village as far as the way we use our finances? Or do we need to make any changes? I think looking at it as I have the couple of months that I've been involved, it appears that the village spends money wisely. There's a good checks and balance with the way it's done. The board gets weekly bill readings, and so we see how the money's being spent. I think the village manager, Rich Keener's doing a good job of managing costs and keeping things down.
Right.
If the village does lose the funding, as Governor Rauner wants, there'll be some belt tightening that's going to be done. There's going to be, obviously going to have to be some services that are going to have to be cut or scaled back. We've kind of talked about it a little bit.
You have
major
to.
plans
Right.
have been put in effect yet, but yeah, it's something that, like you say, every town in Illinois is facing. And it's unfortunate because it's a statewide issue that's been going on for 20 years.
Right. Right.
That everybody's kicked the can down the road, and now it's a dead end, and time to look at it.
Right, right. And a lot of people say, well, it's all about pensions, and it may in fact be about that, but really it's a lot of things.
Yeah.
I mean, there is pension funds that need to be funded through the state, and that's difficult in all states. But there's a lot of other expenditures that are going on.
Right.
That's not the only line item on the thing. So, yeah, pensions is a big thing, and it is here in the village too. I mean, the village has to contribute to pensions for employees here, some other groups. So it's a tough decision. I'm not looking forward to what's going to happen, but
Yeah.
I feel sorry for the people that have to make that decision now. It wasn't your doing.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
But Nick now has got an education coming up in the next few months up into October. The IML, you're going to go to the school. You're going to go to the trustee school. It's coming up, isn't it? Or did you go over?
They do that online now.
They do it online.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The IML is in October, or the convention.
Okay.
Go to
What
that.
is the IML? Illinois
It's-
Municipal League?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's usually in Chicago. And that's a weekend. And when you go there for 3 days, they really pound it into you.
Yeah.
Especially for a new trustee, they got to educate them.
Now, is that Robert's Rules, or what is that?
Oh, it gets out of control sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you got two parties there too. You got, and they all fight each other.
Yeah.
But it's in the education it's going to be appreciated. How do you get the stuff that you just talked about down to the people? How do you educate the people in town here? How are you going to do it different than we have?
Yeah, I think social media is a great way. The website, the village website, which has just been redone.
And by the way, that's how I know about your anniversary. I don't want to spook you before.
Okay, I was going to talk to Chief Havlicek about that.
Okay.
But I think the website is I think the best way. A lot of people are going to that now.
Yes.
As the village gets younger, younger people coming in, they live by their phone and they live by their computers, and I think that's the main way to get it out. The mailings that were done, along the village matters is a great way too. I think. At least that way every.
The new water bill is going to help quite a bit too.
Correct.
It's going to help.
That's great.
everything.
Yeah.
And why? Because why?
Because they're going to educate them every week, and they're going to tell you stuff that's going on every month.
By insert something in that envelope
That's
instead
right.
of just a card.
That's right.
Okay.
I wish you would return an envelope in there, but at the
Yeah,
time.
that's yeah. Trying to save money.
Yeah. No, but as long as you can get it out to the people,
Mhm.
because the only complaint you're going to get is people don't know what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing too. In every organization I belong to, whatever it was, people would come and complain about something, and they'd always say, well, did you go to the meeting? Did you vote? Did you? Well, no, I don't have the time. Well,
Yeah.
well then you can't complain.
Mhm.
If you want to complain about something, if you know the facts, then if you can argue the facts, then come forward.
Yeah. But everybody you talk to since you've been on the board now told you I voted for you. Don't worry about it.
Right, I should have had 3,000 votes. Yeah, no, it's
22,000 votes.
yeah, right. No, it's a great town. It's a
Yeah,
great
and
town.
it's a
and
wonderful
the people
town.
are really good.
That's
in
why
this
we're
town.
still involved with it. It's a
Mhm.
great town. It's been good to us. Me and Sid and Al.
Oh yeah.
And we different opinions, but we still do it.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
everybody's gonna have a
And we
difference
made
in-
good friends throughout
Mhm.
the time. Like you said, with your organization, you make friends all the way around.
All right.
And these make good friends. You made Don Case a friend of yours.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't pick on Don. He's a good guy.
Yeah, that's right.
We like Don. We want to have Don in that chair soon.
Okay.
Because he's the guy that we want to talk about. And I want to compliment you so far. I am always hanging around the board meetings, and I get to see a lot of people and their activities. And you've been in 2 meetings after moving from the audience onto the dais, and you got you hit the ground running.
You
I
hit
mean,
the ground
you were,
yesterday when you did your homework. I appreciate that you asked questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Oh, yeah.
You got good people. Vetus, if he doesn't know the answer, he gets back to you. But
Right.
he does.
Vitas Giskelis,
He
our
can't say it.
Public Works Director, yes.
And the manager too. If you get answers, we don't. No,
Yeah, yeah.
no, but if you get good questions and he'll answer you.
One of the things
That's
that-
the most important thing, is what you just said. If you ask a good question, you're going to get a good answer. If you don't know what you're talking about and ask the questions just to, more or less, sometimes you feel people are asking it just to hear themselves talk,
Right.
Yeah.
and you're not going to get an answer.
Oh, yeah, it's a grandstand.
We had a thing going when I was on the board. If we're going to ask a question for the department heads or anybody else, you ask them Monday afternoon. Then Monday night again, you do it again. But you give them a chance.
Give them-
give them
Yeah.
a chance.
Yeah.
They get beat.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's not 60 Minutes. We don't want to,
No,
right.
No.
put a microphone in someone's face and say, what do you think?
Yeah. Which is good, because I thought that's what this was. So.
Yeah, well, for the last 10 minutes it will be. No. But we've gone almost an hour with you, and I think it's probably gone by fast from my perspective.
Yeah, it has.
And we haven't picked on you. So
Thank
tell your peers on the board, to come and see us, because we'd like to talk to them and get their ideas. But we appreciate you being here today. And I can't wish you enough luck in
No.
good times on your board.
Thank you.
As a trustee. You'll probably be campaigning in a year
Yeah, right.
to see if we can get you to a 4-year term.
Yeah.
But I can't thank you enough for what you do also in the community. I've already seen you at some community events because I go there and take ribbon cutting. You were at the Pioneer Feed event. Is that something that you want to continue doing as far as being out in the community at things like that during
Oh,
the
sure,
day and
yeah.
stuff?
Yeah, no, I enjoy that. I enjoy people. I'm a people person. I enjoy meeting people, and it's good. I think it's good for the village to see that the trustees are involved in it.
Oh yes.
And I know. I mean, it's difficult. A lot of times, things are done in the afternoon, and it's kind of hard to get out of work sometimes.
Right.
But but I know Deb Bullwinkle, the president. She tries to get out to all of them. And it depends on your schedule. I'm fortunate because I do own my own business. I can kind of make time as I need to. Instead of going into work at 5, I'll go into work at 3 and take.
You're on that
12 hours
24-hour
off.
schedule.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
I work half a day. It's usually
Yeah.
the first half or the second.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I think it's really good. I think the people appreciate that. The residents appreciate that when you're out there, and the business owners do. And that's what we're trying to do is to get business in here, make it a better village for everybody.
Yeah, and everybody says that Villa Park is landlocked. There's not much property. There's not much opportunity in the village. We're seeing some new homes being built that are beautiful homes. One on Harvard and Central.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful property.
The one on Bill Avenue up by the school there.
Right, and there is property on North Avenue that's in the process of being developed or sold.
Right.
Some significant new things. North Park Mall is having some things that are going to change up on the front, maybe Chipotle, maybe Dunkin' Donuts up in front. They talked about that. So lots of good things that you're going to be able to take care of.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We're going to go another 5 minutes, so you sit there with us. Now it's your turn to ask him questions. You can just part of the conversation here. So 5 minutes ago,
Right.
you got a couple of things you want to talk about the bike.
Yeah, and I know.
You can ask questions now too.
Okay.
Me too.
Yeah,
No, I
Sid's
guess you answer you.
going to be mad that he hasn't talked so much today, but we'll
Sorry,
deal with
Sid,
that.
I didn't mean to take over.
But you've been the focus. But I want to talk about briefly, yes, tomorrow night, the first kickoff meeting for the Villa Park Bike Club will be at Cortese Park at 6:30 p.m.
Now, what
And-
does that mean, kickoff meeting?
That means that whenever you form an organization that's a club, there's certain things that have to be in place. Bylaws, board members, liability, funding, all of that has to be in place. Plus, getting people interested in being involved. And when you've served on the booster clubs, you know how that is. You have to get people to say, yes, I want in. I am very enthusiastic because a lot of the people that have RSVP'd are doers. People that go out and do things and take part. So I don't think we'll have a problem. Yeah, there are other organizations like that, bike clubs. For example, in Elmhurst, where you grew up, 500 members are in that bike
I
club.
don't worry about Elmwood. I worry about Villa Park. Why are you think that we didn't need a bike from Bell Park.
Why do we need a bike park?
Yeah.
We don't need anything, but it would be a great opportunity for us to promote not just the prairie paths, but bike activities. We have the Grand Prix race that comes here every year to Villa Park. This will be the 3rd year consecutive. That is a huge race. We have people from Brazil coming to participate in that race that runs along a prairie path and into the neighborhoods. And that is call it a circuit race, where they go around at 30 miles an hour on the streets and race for maybe 40 laps, which I couldn't do. Some of them are actually doing 70 miles, 80 miles in these road races. And there's also senior events and children events in that race. And it's a great opportunity for people to be active and healthy in those environments. Now, there's certain people that cannot participate, physically cannot participate in riding a bike. We are going to give them opportunities to go out there and enjoy the prairie paths, because there's nothing, if you ride a bike, there's nothing more enjoyable like when you were a kid of just riding. And it could be along our beautiful section of the Illinois Prairie Path, or it could be on the Great Western Trail or the Salt Creek Greenway. And seniors ought to be able to enjoy that. Children who cannot ride because of physical challenges should be able to ride on. And we have the capability to do that, so we're going to do that. And the other thing is the skate park here in Villa Park is called a skate park, but it's also a BMX, meaning a bicycle track or facility. And we want to support more of those events.
Where is this meeting going to be at Wednesday night now?
Cortese Park, which is Cortese and Kenilworth. It's the site of the missile site. Cortese Veterans Memorial Park is what it's called. And it was where we had the 100-year celebrations last August.
Okay.
Okay?
How about your auto show? When's that coming up?
Sunday, like the car race drag strip. Sunday at 3 p.m. until 8 p.m. at the same park, Cortese Park, so I don't have to repeat that. And that is a weekly event, Sunday night car shows. My friend Bill Reese and Cheryl Tucker are helping me because they're involved with the circuit of car shows. We also have one up at Strat's that happens every Friday night. That's really cool. The Wanderers goes up there. And that will be every week except for 4th of July and Labor Day, all the way through September.
And we got short time. Sid, what do you got?
I want to talk about the 4th of July. The parade, the traditional parade that we have had.
Go ahead.
What are you talking about? 1 minute? I got more than that. It's going to take longer than that. No. The 4th of July parade, is being marshaled, put together by the BFW. Mm-hmm. We raise the funds to defray the cost. There'll be, at the end of the parade, for those participants, there'll be hot dogs and soft drink and beer for sale, for adults, that is. If you're over 21, Al. You could
a couple
do
of times.
That, yes.
A couple of times.
And if you want to participate in the parade, you can call the VFW 630-834-5191.
And then 4 more numbers, whatever they are.
Whatever the phone number is. I've only been using it for the last 60-some years.
We'll put it across the bottom. Now you got to edit this. I got to put the cross. Okay.
And if you want to, like I say, to bring a float in, being a marching unit, I like to think of this as not so much as a parade to watch, but a parade to be in. I was a great fan of that Chicago Oakdale Marching Society, where everybody marched and nobody looked, and I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
But we've had big celebrities in the parade from time to time. I don't know who's going to be representing the governor this year, but we've had governors in, Governor Edgar, Governor Thompson, and that I know of in person.
Yeah.
So, and it's going to be the parade route. We'll marshal, put together at the Trinity Lutheran parking lot, part of St. A's parking lot, the library parking lot. It'll go down Central Avenue to Harvard, Harvard to Madison, Madison east to Summit, Summit north to Park, and west on Park to Ardmore, turns on Ardmore and disbands. It's a long parade, but it's all shady and nice.
Yeah, under the canopy of trees.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, Nick, you have an opportunity to walk through the parade as a new trustee. Are you planning to do that, or you have other plans?
I'm planning on doing it.
All right.
We watched it for the last, like, 25 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Front of Stolgens
Time
is our
to be
favorite
in-
spot.
time to be in
Front of Stolgens.
In
Oh,
front
yeah.
of Stolgens, it was always at the end of the parade, and we'd see everything coming by there. So,
Right, right.
so I'll be
Okay.
in it this year.
And we have the Summerfest coming up June 19th and 20th. It's going to be all day, half a day on Friday and all day on Saturday.
Now, one of the other things that you want to tell your friends on the board when they come to visit is, yes, I kind of control the operation, but I have no control. We are now 5 minutes over time
Okay.
because of these two guys, and that will happen, and I don't mind. So
That's okay.
it's been great having you here today.
It's been good to be in here.
I can't thank you enough for
I appreciate your
coming
support.
by.
Thank you.
And
Yes,
you have
thank
our
you.
support
Sid, thank you.
until you vote the wrong way, and then we'll tell
That's
you about
right,
that too.
yeah.
Then you get a phone call. Very good.
All right, we're going to switch off now, but thanks again, guys, for a great show. I appreciate it.
So long, everybody.
Thank you for coming.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah.
It was my pleasure. Went fast.